Happy Tuesday, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope everybody had a great start to their week after the holidays and that your holidays were wonderful. Let's go ahead and see if I can get the video up on my other device so that I can see your comments. And oops. Get the video. Let's get rid of that echo. Okay, here we go. So, as many of you know, hello, Cynthia. So glad to see you on. Jennifer, thank you for joining. As many of you know, the mini catalog, the January to April 2025 Stampin' Up! Mini catalog went live this morning. So now this is anything available in this catalog is available to customers. In addition, we also had the January scrapbooking brochure go live. You can check that out on my website, and I will try to put a link to this brochure in the comments or in another post on my Facebook page so that you can easily find these products. New online exclusives were also released. And the best thing of all is it's celebration time, and everything in the celebration brochure you cannot purchase. You have to get it for free. I know that's a horrible thing to have to get it for free, right? So how do you get it for free? Well, Stampin' Up! Has this promotion called Celebration from today, January wherever we're at, the 7th, until the end of February. So February 28th, with every $60 here in the United States that you purchase, Stampin' Up! Will allow you to choose one item for free. Now, those are cumulative. So if you spend 60, you can get one item, 120, you can get two items, or you could get one level 2 item in this brochure, and so on and so forth. And there is no limit to how many free stamps or free items, because it's not just stamps, that you can earn from that catalog. In addition, did I say online exclusives? I can't remember. Hello, Laura. Online exclusives. There's a whole batch of online exclusives that also went live, such as this mixed label bundle that we'll be using today. This is an online exclusive. You won't, which just means that you won't find it in any print. Okay, so you have to go look online and look in the online exclusive section, and you'll find it there. So you can buy the stamp set, you can buy the dies, or you can buy them as a bundle and save 10% over the combined price. Okay, so the bundle number for this one is oh, wait a minute, let me give you the right one. 164653. In case you don't want to go looking, you can write that down. So we're going to be using this tonight, and we're also going to be using wildflower designs because I needed a small flower for my project. And I tried this flower, but I just didn't like the way it worked with my project. I needed something a tiny bit bigger. So we're going to use this image here from the Wildflower Designs. Now this is from the annual catalog, the 2024 to 2025 annual catalog. Okay, so that's where you'll find that. Or of course you can always look online because everything's online. All right. So, hello, Tracy. I love it that you're saying hello to all your friends. That's so nice. Okay, so we are going to do a 3D project. That's what I have planned for you tonight. It's a crazy week here in the Harper household. And so I've got what I have, and it's about all I could handle this week. I'm so sorry that there aren't two projects for you. But The one project that I do have is a very useful project. So let's go ahead and get started with that. It takes quite a bit of cardstock. We're going to start with, this is the wrong size, pretty sure. Yep. I must have put the correct one back in the, yep. I put the correct one away and kept the wrong one out. Okay, well, so we've got some cherry cobbler, excuse me, cardstock, and this should be 3 5/8 by 10. Yes, it is. Okay, so 3 5/8 by 10. Then I have a piece of cherry cobbler cardstock that is 5.5 by 8.5. I have another piece of cherry cobbler that is 3.5 by 4. And a piece of cherry cobbler that is 1.5 by 2.5. Okay. Then we have a piece of new paper that just released this morning. And I forgot, no, I didn't forget. I buried it, which is what I always do, right? So we are, this is the Timeless Plaid, right? Timeless Plaid, brand new. So I'm going to have a little bit of a trouble with the names. So we've got the Timeless Plaid 6 by 6 Designer Series paper. And with this stack, you get 4 sheets each of 8 double-sided designs. Is that what? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Whatever. Yeah, 6. 6. Oh my goodness. I'm a struggle in here. Anyway, these are the designs that you get, and most of them have a plaid on one side and a gingham on the, or a check or a gingham on the other. Okay, so the colors in this are basic beige, boho blue, Cajun craze, calypso coral, cherry cobbler, crumb cake, early espresso, lost lagoon, misty moonlight, mossy meadow, old olive, pebbled path, pecan pie, and wild wheat. All right, so that is the paper that we'll be using, and this piece is 3.5 by 5 3/4, and we're going to cut this down a little bit further, but because I want my design to match, I'm not going to cut it until I'm ready. And then I have a piece of basic white cardstock, and this is 3 3/8 by 4 3/4. And this is actually going to go on the back of our project and is entirely optional. You don't need to put this piece of paper on there. It's just a place for you to sign your project. Okay. And then I've already cut from basic white a label from the mixed labels. It's this label right here. Okay, so we're going to use that. And then I have a small piece of basic white for stamping, and that's not going to probably be enough. I don't know what I was thinking. That's enough for this. No, yeah, that is enough because I'm stamping the sentiment on here, and then I'm going to stamp my flower on here. Oh my goodness. All right, so let's go ahead and get started, and let me put this back in here, you guys. I'm putting it back in here in case I can't find it later. This is just the day I'm having. Okay, let's go ahead and put all of that stuff back in there so I can find it later. Okay, now we're going to bring in our Simply Scored tool. And we're going to start with the 3 5/8 by 10-inch piece. And on the 10-inch side, we're going to score this in half at 5 inches. Okay, easy score. Then we're going to take our 5.5 by 8.5 inch piece. And I probably can do this from memory, but I might screw it up today, so I'm not going to. So we're going to score this piece on the 8.5 inch side, excuse me, at 2 5/8 and 3 1/8. And then we're going to rotate to the 5.5 inch side, and we're going to score this at 4 5/8 and 5 1/8 because it's easier to score on this end than it is on this end. So again, 4 5/8 and 5 1/8. Then I'm going to rotate this 180 degrees. I'm going to repeat 4 5/8 and 5 1/8. Okay, now that piece is scored. And we're going to bring in our 3.5 by 4 inch. And on the 4 inch side, we're going to score this at 1/2 inch, 2 inches, and 3.5 inches. Okay? And finally, on the 1.5 by 2.5 inch piece, we're going to score on the 1.5 inch side at 1/2 and 1. Okay? And that is our scoring done. Okay. So with this piece, all we need to do is fold this in half at the moment. So let's just do that. And remember, this is 3.5 or 3 5/8 by 10, scored up 5 inches. I'm just going to repeat that. So if you want to write it down, you can. There will be a blog post for this with all of the measurements. So then on the 5.5 by 8.5 inch piece, I'm going to score at the score. I'm going to fold and burnish at the score line that is closest to the long end here. So I'm just going to score this one first. Okay. So this is the, let's see, 3 1/8 inch score. So I've burnished that. Then we're going to bring this in, and I'm going to bring my trimmer in. Okay. Now we're going to bring the trimmer in. And I'm going to put the second score line from the right-hand side in my cutting track. And I like to move mine over just a tiny bit, not out of the track, but not right in the center. I like it a little bit more to the right so that it cuts off the score. And then I'm going to put my cutting blade, not my scoring blade, I'm going to put my cutting blade on the score line that we burnished. And I'm going to push that up to cut off this edge on that long side. Okay? Then I'm going to turn this and I'm going to repeat, but this time I'm going to cut down because I need to cut from this same score line to the larger end of the paper. So again, I'm going to put it just off the track a tiny bit. I'm going to line up my cutting edge here. There's a little line here. If you can see that, there's a line. And I'm lining that up with that score line. And then on this side, I'm going to cut down. Okay? And so what that's going to do is it's going to leave me this. Okay? And I like to do that before I do all the other scoring because why score where I don't need to? And it makes it lay in my trimmer flatter. So now I'm going to take where I've cut that and I'm going to cut up on that score line. And I'm going to remove the score line and those pieces. And I'm going to do that on both sides. Okay. So I've removed those two long pieces and this is what I have left. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish on the remaining score lines because this is going to become a pocket. Okay, so we're just going to burnish those score lines. And then these right here, this score line on the long side, we're going to cut up to the second score line where we cut off that other piece to make that tab. Okay, so we're just making ourselves a glue tab. We do not need this second little piece here, so we're going to remove that piece. I'm just going to trim that off, and then I'm going to angle cut my glue tab. Okay, while I'm here, I'm going to put a little angle cut just on the outside shorter piece here. This is a 1/2 inch and this is 3/8. So I'm just going to trim that, and then I'm going to repeat that over on the other side, cutting up to the second score line, removing the outside tab, and cutting an angle on that glue tab. Okay, and then I'm going to put a slight angle cut at this up to that first score line on this smaller section. Okay, so let's go ahead and put our designer series paper on now. So we're going to take our designer series paper from the Timeless Plaid. We're going to grab our trimmer, and we're going to cut the top of this at 3 3/8. So we're going to cut 3 3/8, which will leave us 2 3/8, and that's not my cutting blade. Okay, so we've got 3 3/8 for the top and 2 3/8 for the pocket. Okay, so I'm going to keep those where they need to go. All right, so how I like to do this is I like to take my pocket and fold it, because this is how it's going to look. So I've got my pocket piece, I've got my top piece that I cut apart, and those are going to match up perfectly. And then I'm just going to add these to my pocket, or to my pocket piece, not necessarily the pocket. Okay, so this is going to go at the top here. And I'm just going to place that here. And normally I do the pocket first. Don't ask me why I'm doing this backwards, because it's just that kind of a day. And I'm going to try and center that up on, so that I have even distance on all 3 sides. Okay, then I'm going to bring up this pocket, keeping in mind that I want to keep the pattern so that it matches. Of course, if that's not a big deal to you, then don't worry about it. But I want my pattern to match when I put it on. So there we go. So now this piece is ready to be glued and put together. Okay, so we're going to take, and before we do that, I have a pen pocket that I want to put in here. So I'm going to take my 1.5 by 2.5 inch piece that I scored out 1/2 and 1, and I'm going to burnish on those score lines. This was the easiest and best way I found to add my pen pocket so that I didn't get glue everywhere, and it was nice and sturdy when I finished. Okay, so I'm going to take some tear and tape, and I'm going to put my tear and tape right on the edge of the cardstock, and I'm going to tear that off. Okay, I'm going to burnish that down really good and remove the backing. Not with that though, because that's not my pokey end. Okay, so we're going to remove the backing, and then just for added security, I'm going to take and add some liquid glue right next to that score line and up to that tear and tape. Okay, and then on the right side of the pocket, Now, if you want the pen on the left side, you would do it on the other side, like this. But I want mine to be on the right side of the pocket, so I'm going to put mine on the right-hand side. I'm going to lay this piece, the edge to the edge, and the edge of this to the score line. Okay, edge to edge. And this is the inside of that pen pocket. Okay, and then I'm going to give that a really good burnish. Okay, now my pen pocket's there. Okay, so now I can actually make the pocket and then we don't have those edges. Okay, so now we're going to take our liquid glue because I found this easiest. You could use tear and tape, but I want this to last. This has to last a year. And I know my Tombow is not going to fail me. So that's why I'm using Tombow. And I'm just going to put some Tombow on those tabs. Okay. And then I'm going to take this tab and I'm going to bend this and I'm going to take this cut line and put it on the score line at the tab. Okay. And I'm going to hold that in place for a second. Hello, Lynette. Okay, so we've got that. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to bend this in. I'm going to bring the cut edge to the scored edge and hold that for a second or two or three or four till it adheres well. I don't want my box to fall apart. And then I like to take my bone folder inside and just give that a little burnish on that tab. Okay. Now this is ready to add to our card base. Okay. But our card base is not quite ready. So we're going to take our card base and we're going to set that other piece aside for a minute. And we're going to take our 3.5 by 4 inch piece that we scored at 1/2 inch, 2 inch, and 3.5 inches. And we're just going to fold those 1/2 inch outside edges down. And then we're going to take that center fold that we have left and we're going to fold it in the opposite direction. Okay. And this is going to be the easel mechanism for our project. Okay, so it should look like this. Now we're going to take our card base and we're going to take some liquid glue and I'm going to put on one of the 1/2 inch tabs here. Some liquid glue. You could use tear and tape here, but again, I want mine to last a year. So I'm going to take that piece and where it's folded, the folded edge here, not the cut edge, the folded edge, I'm going to put that folded edge on the cut edge of the card base. Okay, so I'm going to line those up. Now, your card base is 3 5 inches. This piece is 3.5, so that you have just a little bit of leeway so you don't have to worry about the edges sticking over. Okay, so then I like to take and fold this down. And because I've used the liquid glue now, I can maneuver this so that I know that my edges are flush. Okay, and then I'm going to give that a good burnish. And then I'm going to fold this down so I have the other 1/2 inch tab up looking at me. And I'm going to take my glue again and I'm going to put it on that 1/2 inch tab. Okay. And then I'm going to hold this down and fold my card closed and give that a burnish. Okay. So now I have an easel. And this is now ready for my pocket. So we're going to set that aside again. And now I'm going to take and actually make my pocket. Okay. So these pieces here are going to go round the back like so. but I need to ensure that my pen holder goes in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slightly bend these pieces out, these little 3/8 inch pieces. I'm going to lay this down and give this a really good burnish. Okay, and when I do that, then this is pretty much going to pop up just like I need it to. Okay, so now I'm going to take and I'm going to put some liquid glue on my tab here on the inside, and then on this piece right here on the outside. Okay, I'm going to glue those both at the same time. Okay, then I found if you take a sticky note pad, I've got a smaller one. A 3x3 will work, but mine happened to be in, well, here, I've got one that's not in a plastic. So if you just take a 3x3 note pad here, and you kind of stick that in like that, that's going to help you glue everything flat, okay? Then just kind of reach in and make sure that your 3x3 notepad helps solidify this piece here. And then just reach your finger into the pocket and give that a press, because now you know, because you stuck that pad up against it, that it's all nice and straight. Put your finger in there and give it a little press to make sure that that glue adheres. Okay, then we'll burnish it on the back a bit. This is kind of the tricky part here on this particular side. You want to give it a good burnish, but you don't want to push too hard and collapse that pen holder. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're going to leave that 3x3 notepad in there, and we're going to add glue to the other tab here, just like this. And then we'll give that a press. And at this point, I can take this out. I'm going to hold with my hand here to make sure that's nice and tight. And then I'm going to take my bone folder and go into the pocket right there at that edge and give it a good burnish. Okay, so now I've got this nice pocket and it has a nice pen holder. All right, so now we need to add this to our card base. Okay, so the easiest way to do that, your card base is a tiny bit shorter than the pocket. Okay, you're going to have just a little bit sticking up over the back. So I like to take my card base, fold it down flat. It doesn't matter which side you use. Give yourself some liquid glue, tear and tape. If you're going to use tear and tape, use quite a bit, because this needs to hold well. That's why I'm using my liquid glue, because I know this is not going to fail me. Okay, so I've got my liquid glue. Now I'm going to lay my pocket down, upside down. And I'm going to take my card base and I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to marry up the glue side to the pocket. Again, I'm going to make sure that this is all flush. My card base is a tiny bit shorter than the pocket itself, so I want to center that up as best I can. I could have made them the same size, but it's just easier if you have a little bit of excess room to work with. Nobody's going to really be looking at the back going, oh, that didn't quite line up. No, it's intentional. So then we're going to give that a good burnish. And now that I've got that done, I'm going to take my bone folder inside the easel part here, and I'm going to gently give that a burnish, turn it around, give it another burnish. Okay, then I'm going to flip it over here, and I'm going to give this a good burnish this way. And go again in the pocket. I want to make sure that adheres really well. Okay, Now here is our little pocket. Okay, now here you could do this just as a 3x3 post-it note holder. Oh, wait a minute, I have a pink one here. Put a pink, because I don't have any red. I could do that. I would fold this down though, because I'm going to decorate, right? Fold that down a bit. Take a pen or a pencil and stick that in the pocket. Now, thank you, Tracy, for helping me with the base. My design was not working out and I got a little bit of help. So I want to give Tracy credit for helping me with the width here because that's what I needed. And now we have us a pocket holder. But we're going to take this a step further. And we're going to add a calendar to the front of the pocket. So I've got these 2025 mini tear-off calendars. They come in a set of 10 that I got. And I'm going to add this to the front of my pocket here. And again, I'm going to do that with liquid glue. You can use tear and tape or whatever really strong adhesive you have. But I'm sticking with the liquid glue completely on this project. Okay. And then I'm going to center this up side to side, and then I'm going to try and center it between the top and the bottom of the plaid, but there's not very much different distance between the top and the bottom. When I designed this, I tried to make the pocket so that it would equally fit, the designer's paper would equally fit all four sides, but by doing that, based on these calendars, my pocket was too tall for you to really grab the 3x3 post-it note out of, so I had to revamp my calculations. So now I've got that in, and because I've got that 3x3 notepad in there, I can give that a good press. And then I can pull that out, stick my finger in the pocket, make sure that's nice and secure. Okay, and now what we have left is the decoration. So we're going to keep the decoration pretty simple. We're going to take that label from the mixed label dies, and we're going to take a sentiment from the mixed label stamp set. I'm so glad we're friends. Again, this is an online exclusive bundle. Okay, so we're using the, I'm so glad, no, that goes on the back. Sorry, where is my sentiment for the front? Oh, I put it away, didn't I? I think I did. I did. Oops. We're going to use the sentiment, "You're pretty wonderful." Let me grab a block. I was a little too efficient in cleanup. Okay, so we'll grab the "You're pretty wonderful" and pray that I stamp this straight and I don't have to start over. And we want cherry cobbler ink. Now, by all means at home, go ahead and stamp on your white cardstock and then cut out your die. I'm going to wing it here and hope it turns out the way I want it to. And that looks pretty good. And then we're going to take that piece of scrap white paper that we have, and we're not going to hide the cherry cobbler ink because I won't be able to find it later. We're going to take some Memento Tuxedo Black, and we're going to stamp that flower from Wildflower Designs. Now, this is a stamp set that you can purchase separate, or you can purchase in a bundle, and it has these really cool dies with it. So this is in the annual catalog, like I said before. I'm glad you like this bundle, Tracy. So we're going to take this little Wildflower Design flower, and we're going to stamp this in black. Okay. I'm going to give that just a second to dry. My black, when you put the black in the craft white Stampin' Pad, it really is a good solid image, but it does take just a touch longer to dry. I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Blends. I'm going to bring in Calypso Coral and Old Olive because this particular piece of paper has Calypso Coral in it. So we're going to start with our dark Old Olive. And I'm just going to put a little bit right here in my leaves. And then I'm going to bring in my Old Olive. And finish coloring those. Now these little pieces are extremely thin. So you have a choice. You can use the brush tip of your Stampin' Blend and be extremely careful. Barely touch the paper. Or you could grab your Stampin' Write marker and fill it in with that. I'm using the blend. And then I'm going to start with dark Calypso Coral on my flowers. I'm going to start at the base after I get that little hair off of there. Put a little bit of dark at the base of my flower. And then I'm going to finish it off with some light Calypso Coral. If you leave a little bit of white here and there, it's really not a big deal. It just looks like a shine on your flower. And then because this has a die, we can take the die from the Wildflower Designs dies and cut that out. Okay? So let's grab the die. It's this image right here. And this has a little hole in the bottom. And if you line that hole up, this is the way I like to do it. I line the hole up with the bottom of the stem. Make sure I have that showing. And then I maneuver the top so that that all lines up. And then I'll secure that with a piece of mint tape. Bring in the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Take plate 1, plate 2, paper and die, and another plate 2. And we'll run that through. And set these aside out of the way. Take our image. And our die is perfectly lined up. Okay? I find that's the easiest way to do those when they have a hole in the stem. Put the stem down first and then line the rest of the flower up. Okay, so let's go ahead and take these out of our pockets. We're going to add this to the top 1/3 of our card because we're going to have our 3x3 notepad down here and we don't want that. I'm going to use this one because it's out of the package. We don't want our sentiment covered up. So we're going to make sure that we place this. I'm going to do it flat because otherwise we'll have trouble getting that Post-it note out. And we're just going to center this up like so. And then again, we're going to add our flower flat. But because our flower is kind of off of this die cut, instead of using the seal, I'm going to take my glue dots. And I'm going to put a glue dot on the largest flower. And I'm going to put a glue dot at the base of the leaves here. And then I'll put one in the middle. And add this right next to my sentiment. Okay, and there we have our project. You've got your calendar pen holder all done up in Forever Plaid. It's good for a year. I made one of these a little different for my mom. I used a retired sentiment that says, P.S. I love you. And I took that to her this weekend and she was thrilled to death. She said, oh, good, we needed one of those. So I'll bet your people will feel the same. It's a very useful tool. Okay, everybody. That's what I have for you today. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope that you will make some of your own. I will be back. Oh, thanks, Jen. Thanks, Laura. I will, right now, the plan is to be live on Thursday night at 7, but it might be 7:30. I have a swim meet that will last until 5:30 or 6, so hopefully I can get home to get the YouTube video. If not, I'll post that I'm not going to make it. And then I'll be back next Tuesday here on Facebook Live at the same time. All right. Thanks, Lynette. Have a good night, everybody, and thank you so much for watching. Be sure to take advantage of those celebration freebies while you can. And happy shopping, everybody. Good night. Have a great week.